Morning, garden friends. Today I'm going to be working on the garden bed that is against the fence. One of the things that I have come to realize, while I so love my hydrangeas and my knockout roses, is I am not having that layering look because they both get very large, and I don't like the crowding. I want to be able to see the layering in the garden. So what I'm going to end up doing is taking everything out and having a clean palette in regards to the garden. Now, mind you, I'm going to be putting back into the garden what I am taking out, and that is strictly to rearrange how the garden bed is set up. And then we got another evergreen that we want to line up against the back of the wall. So let me turn my camera around and show you guys what I'm going to be working on. All right, so this is the area that we're going to be working in. And like I said, everything is coming out and it is going to be reconfigured. And part of the reason why is, you see I have my evergreen there, and then I have one here. We want to be able to put a third one in here. But because my three hydrangeas back here, two of them I know are limelights. Those two, I don't know what this one is because the leaves are different on it. And then I have my three lime crime punches. The one I've already moved, but the knockout roses are coming out. I have big containers that I'm going to plant them in and put them elsewhere in the garden. But one of the things that I did, because I want the height difference right now between the hydrangeas and the knockout roses, I do not have the layering look that I want. So I'm actually going to be putting in some drift roses in place of the knockout roses. I'm going to be moving the lime prime punches pretty much where the roses are, and then line up the drift roses in the front so that I have the layering, but then it's also going to be staggered between the hydrangeas and the different hydrangeas, the limelights, and my lime prime punches. So, like I said, I'm short on time. I got to go ahead and get these knockout roses trimmed all the way back so that I can go ahead and get these guys dug up. I got compost and manure that I'm going to be putting in each of these holes, and then get the tree planted once I figure out where the center is. I ended up counting the boards between the two trees, and it is 52 boards. So I'm going to find the middle spot, and that will be the determining factor where I put the other evergreen in here. And then the other thing, I had cannas in here. We got that ivy that's coming through from our neighbors that Kevin's going to get taken care of. And, this is the thing. This is like the perfect time for me to be redoing these garden beds, because even my areas that I have my phlox, I want to get that propped up a little bit higher because it spills over really, really nicely. And like I said, we moved the cannas out because the cannas was literally suffocating everything. And if you look over at my evergreen, right there where you see that dip in there were cannas that literally just blocked the sun from getting to it to where its shape is odd. So I'm kind of hoping by having those out of here that will end up allowing them to grow in a more uniform fashion. So let me go ahead and, like I said, the first thing I'm going to do is get these two knockout roses cut all the way back so I can get them out of the ground. Get the hole dug for the evergreen once I get it centered, and then start moving these other plants, and then put in my drift roses, which is like a salmon color. They're absolutely gorgeous. But like I said, once I get everything taken care of, I'll show you my progress, and then we'll start digging everything up. I also have some perennials that I'm going to be putting in here, which is, what is it? The Mexican petunias. They're drift. And I also have some, what is it? Johnny Walkers that I'm going to end up digging up. That's over there. I think they were buried too far um, in the back to where they were reaching and they became leggy. And because they like full sun, I'm probably going to work them in the front of this bed, because my candy tuft, I mean, I had it completely lined up the whole length. And, you know, some of them remained, some of them ended up dying back. And I know the Johnny Walkers will end up being beautiful along with the candy tuft on the front edge of the garden bed. All right, got all of the roses out and the hydrangeas. So now I'm gonna end up putting some compost mix in here and then get the plants laid out as far as how I am going to put them in here. And, you know, like I said, guys, the realization of my hydrangeas, between the limelights, the lime primes, and my roses, I was not able to have the layering look that I wanted. So hopefully with this new layout, it is going to end up working out for this garden bed. All right, so this is how these guys are laid out. I have my limelights in the back. Those three are my lime primes. Those only get 3 to 4 foot tall. I have my knockout drifts, the 3 there. I'm gonna adjust my container and the rocks with the phlox in it, and then the other perennials that I have, like my dwarf Mexican petunias, and also some ground cover phlox that's going to be in here. Okay, so we have everything planted up how I want this bed to look. And I'm really loving the fact of those dwarf drift knockouts, how nicely they look here. And it will definitely give me the layering that I want. And then I have enough space with the hydrangeas and the evergreens that will have good air circulation. And like I said, in the spring, I'm going to come in and all of these little spindly branches on the hydrangeas, I'm going to go ahead and get them cut out and get these guys shaped up. So majority of the branches that are going vertical up, anything that is spindly or sticking out or going out in the direction of the side, I am going to cut those guys back, because I want them to be able to handle when we have the heavy rain and the blooms get large. Now, one of the things that I did, like I said, the front here is lined up with my candy tuft all along here. Now, one of the things that I have to do better on is after the candy tuft blooms, to cut it back so that it stays bushy and don't get leggy. Some of these guys are still a little leggy, but I didn't want to cut it back too hard. I have my dwarf Mexican petunias in there. I have some, what are those? The white flowers, daisies, some Shasta daisies that are in here. And then I ended up putting some grass in there just to have the not only the layering, but the different textures and then the colors. Because you figure that my Mexican petunias are pink and white. You got the salmon color of the roses and then the whites of the hydrangeas when they fully bloom. And then hopefully, because of where I've placed my line primes, that this is going to be a good spot for these guys to be successful. So now the last thing I want to do is go ahead and get the bed mulched, and then this area will be completed. It looks so nice. All right, guys, you know, like when you get into a groove of something, you just can't stop. So I chose to find a good stopping space, but what I ended up doing, instead of putting my knockout roses in pots, I just went ahead and planted them in the ground up against the fence. I think that bright pink color that they will get will look beautiful up against the black. I took my, oh, what is that? Miss Molly, my lantana, out of the pot and put it in the ground. This here is a mini mauveette hydrangea. This here is my mountain top, tiny tuft, and I had one over here, but I put right there, but I put my other mini mauveette there because the tiny tuft was getting way too much sun. I moved my ornamental onions here in these two locations, and then I have 3 penstemons that I'm going to be planting in here before I end up mulching the bed. Like I said, I just got on a roll and didn't want to stop and wanted to make sure I got this entire section done. But that area down there will be the next area that I'm going to be working on. I'm going to be cutting back my Lenten roses and doing a little weeding. So hopefully this will be the last area that I have to get prepared before winter. All right, and I almost forgot about this bed. Kevin ended up shaping up my Chinese fringe shrubs just to have them a little better under control. I moved the candy tuft that I had lined up here and put over on the other side of the bed. I planted 2 of the summer long peach hyssops, and then I have bulbs all in here. And then I did move my cat pajamas over here in this bed because I think they were reaching too hard in the area that they were in before for the sun, and they got a little leggy. And the fact that this gets full sun, these guys they'll be happy here. And then this is the thing, even though my little lime is there and I have the hyssop on the side, even at its fullest size, that entire back area is exposed to sun. And I did also plant some, I think they were called giant lion daffodils in the front and then along in the back area, because that is full sun, 6 to 8 hours. So I think this is going to end up looking nice. Let me go ahead and get these beds mulched, and they will be all ready for spring. All right, guys, I have the beds all mulched and the plants watered. Like I said, this is the time of the season, even with the hydrangeas, even though I cut off all the plumes, I am going to end up in the spring doing another cut, getting the spindly branches off and shaping it to where the branches are not coming out. But man, this ended up turning out really nicely and just having that finished look on the garden bed. So between my hydrangeas and my roses, this area is going to look so gorgeous against the dark fence. And like I said, I ended up moving the knockout roses back towards the wall since they get so big, and then just lined them up with my hydrangeas, my mini mauvettes, because those guys can handle the sun. And like I said, I stopped at a good spot here so that I can end up working more in my part sun garden area, my little woodland area that I have back here. But man, this looks so nice, and I cannot wait until everything blooms. And this is about making sure you got enough space, airflow, so that your plants can grow healthy. So this area is done. All right, garden friends, I hope you enjoyed seeing the restructuring, that's what I'll call it, of my back garden. Like I said, I was striving for better layering and understanding the growth pattern of my hydrangeas and my roses. I needed to make this change, and I cannot wait until everything ends up blooming. And I do have daffodils all in this back bed, so I'm looking forward to a very vibrant and lovely back garden. Well, thank you again for visiting Inspiring Garden Corner, and I so appreciate you guys' support and taking this garden journey with me. Have a great day.